All right. The following two videos are very short. One comes from an educational video from NASA. Another comes from somebody who works at the National Weather Service, tracking, monitoring weather across the entire country. And actually, his position is down in Miami, so he's actually working with the hurricane weather system. But anyway, and the purpose of this is not that you have to fill out any information. It's just kind of an emphasis about the difference between what weather is and what climate is, and just kind of putting a separation between the two terms. So the first, again, is going to be from a woman who works for NASA, and then the second is going to be from a gentleman who works at the National Weather Service, who are just simply going to try to describe the difference between the two terms.
Let's talk about weather. Basically, weather is the daily condition of the Earth's atmosphere. Weather is produced by the interaction of several factors, which include heat, air pressure, winds, and moisture. Let's briefly look at each one of those factors. Heat, transferred from the sun, is absorbed by the Earth and spread through the atmosphere. Air temperature varies from place to place because the sun's rays strike the Earth at different angles. Air pressure is the measure of the force of the air pressing down on the Earth's surface. Air pressure depends on the density of the air. Denser air exerts more pressure than less dense air. Air pressure on the Earth can vary considerably from location to location due to unequal heating of the atmosphere. These air pressure differences cause the movement of air, which we call wind. Finally, the amount of moisture in the air, called relative humidity, also influences weather. Moisture in the atmosphere condenses, causing clouds to develop and precipitation to fall to the Earth. So, have you come up with the difference between weather and climate? I said earlier that weather is the daily condition of the Earth's atmosphere. But what about climate? Well, for most of us, climate means a location is hot, cold, wet, or dry. You see, climate is the average weather conditions for a specific region over an extended period of time. The climate of any place is determined by two main factors: temperature and precipitation. The Earth is divided into three major climate zones based on the average temperature of these zones. They are the tropical, temperate, and polar zones.
All right, so you just had an opportunity to listen to one of the people from NASA talk about the difference between weather and climate. Let me give you a different perspective. This comes from somebody who works for the National Weather Service and gives you just a brief description as to what the difference truly is between weather and climate.
I think among the meteorologists there's this popular phrase that climate is what you expect and weather is what you get. And the emphasis there is that climate really refers to the average weather conditions. So an example would be, what's the temperature going to be tomorrow at noon, which is January 5th? That would be a question of weather. But what's the average temperature going to be tomorrow at noon, January 5th, for the next 30 occurrences of January 5th, meaning the next 30 years, and average those all out? That's an example of a question in climate. So climate is referring to the average conditions, and weather is to a very specific time.
All right, so now the true test. You've worked your way through a series of notes regarding weather and climate. You've worked your way through two short videos that hit on the terms weather and climate pretty hard and got right to the point, very direct. So now there are three questions. Can you answer them? Number one, what is weather? Number two, what is climate? And number three, what's the difference between weather and climate?